Welcome to The Next Biggest Winner. I'm George Cholis, host of a show that helps you find your next big winning stock. As you can see, we're in Vancouver again for our second episode from the World Resource Investment Conference, and we've got another 3 great companies for you. Panoro Minerals, Golden Goliath Resources, and North Shore Mining Group. Joining us now is Luqman Shaheen, President and CEO of Panoro Minerals. Panoro Minerals bucked the trend when they announced a $15 million financing in March of 2013, primarily to fund their copper projects in Peru. Here to talk with us is Luq Shaheen, President and CEO of the company. Luq, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
Let's get right into the $15 million. In a time when most companies can't get anything,
right,
you're able to raise $15 million.
Right.
What is so special about your company that you're able to attract that kind of financing?
Well, you know, we're a copper exploration company, so it comes down to the quality of the projects. And our primary project is the Cotabambas copper, gold, silver project located in the south of Peru. And we announced in September last year a new resource on the project of 404 million tons. And that was an increase from the 90 million tons that we had previously.
That's big.
So, you know, in the exploration business, right now it's very difficult to raise financing. But I think the best projects will still get financed.
So you talk about tonnage. Most people at home always want to know how many ounces do you have. So that comes down to grade, tons times grade. What's your grade? What's your grade like, and what does that translate into ounces right now?
Right. We have 404 million tons that is at an average grade of 0.65% copper equivalent. I say copper equivalent because we have a significant amount of gold and silver in the deposit as well. Right. So that tonnage and grade equates to about 3.5 billion pounds of copper, plus 3 million ounces of gold, plus 37 million ounces of silver. Now, that's our average grade for the entire 404 million tons. Within that, half of that resource is not at 0.65% copper equivalent, but at 0.84% copper equivalent. So it not only has a good average grade, but it has a much higher component to the grade, to the resource as well.
Yeah, and that's what I want to ask you. Typically, 0.85%, relatively speaking to other copper projects, is in the high end?
Yeah, you know, once the trend in the copper space now is, you know, 15, 20 years ago, average grades were 1% copper, and they're drifting down to 0.5% copper. So if you have a project that has a grade that's above 0.5% copper or copper equivalent, that's a good project. And at 0.65, we're definitely better than the average. And at 0.84, the first half of the resource is a very strong project.
So you talk about some big numbers there, which to the average person listening at home translates into billions and billions of dollars. Put in perspective in terms of how long it's going to take for you to get to those resources and over what period of time.
Right. Well, we acquired the Cotabambas project in 2007. And we completed, as a part of our due diligence, a first resource estimate there with all the historical drilling, and that was 90 million tons. It then took us from 2007 until 2012 to raise the money, build the team, do the drilling, do all of the engineering work that was required to come up with the 404 million ton resource. So that took a number of years. Now, the exciting part of Panoro, and probably part of the reason that we were able to raise the money, is that we haven't exhausted the geologic potential yet at the Cotabambas project.
It can get even bigger.
That's right. As we're drilling, we're understanding the geology and the geologic setting better. The project is growing. And the potential for us to grow the resource beyond where it is right now is very good. And in fact, we've just signed a contract to do a new technical report on the project that we should have complete by September. And we expect another significant increase in the resource in September of this year.
How far does that $15 million take you, and where does it take you?
That $15 million, together with the $8 million that we had in the bank when we completed the financing, so that total of about $23 million, takes us most of the way down the road to bankable feasibility. We have a number of other interim milestones to accomplish before we get to bankable feasibility, and we'll probably need a little bit more money to complete that bankable feasibility study. But our milestones for this year will be to update the resource estimate, commence our preliminary economic assessment that we will have done either by the end of this year or early next year. And then we'll be able to, in better detail, lay out the program required in order to get the bankable feasibility study.
So you're about a year away from really having those details ready for the market.
Yeah, I would say early part of next year, we'll have some stronger guidance on the schedule towards bankable feasibility.
Let me talk to you about the copper market. The price of copper has come off in recent months. Does that concern you at all, or because you're building a project for the long term, you're not necessarily worried about short-term fluctuations? And if not, if you're not worried about short-term fluctuations, what is your long-term view on the price of copper?
Right. Yeah, I think it's important to recognize that the exploration business is a long-term business. And we have always, in all of our modeling and assessment of our projects, been looking at $2.75 per pound long-term copper price. And most current estimates haven't changed long-term copper price. So notwithstanding the fact that the spot price goes up and down and has come off of its recent highs, the forecast for long-term copper price is still very good. At $2.75 long-term copper price, our projects will be very, very strong.
And to put that in perspective, copper is sitting around $3.30 right now in that
That's
range.
Right.
So you're well above where you need to be just to be feasible, just to be economically feasible.
That's right. You know, we're at the exploration stage. We have a PEA to complete. We then have a bankable feasibility study to complete. Then we have 2 years of construction to build a mine. So the point in time when Cotabambas becomes a producer is off in the future, 4 or 5 years. So what happens with the copper price today, tomorrow, isn't so much of a concern. And I think if you look at the fundamentals behind copper, economic growth and development in Asia, particularly in China, combined with the ongoing supply constraints from existing copper mines, I think that supply-demand fundamentals for copper, medium and long-term, look very, very good.
Well, Luc, it sounds like you guys got incredible things going on, which is really important for investors to hear about in this time when they see a lot of gloom on the on the TSX Venture Exchange. So knowing that we got companies like you out there is fantastic. Looking forward to having you back at the roundtable at the end of the show.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with Paul Sorbera of Golden Goliath Resources. The next biggest winner is brought to you in part by